Hey everyone, welcome back to the Craft Parenting Podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. My name is Joe Ludwig, and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
Pretty good. So, we've been diving really heavy into the parenting podcasts for the last few, and then we just hit it real hard with the craft beer side of it over this last week. I don't hate it, but
I mean, that is half of our podcast, craft. The other half is parenting.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. This is a bonus episode, and we are going to talk about Oktoberfest beers. And we are fashionably late on this topic.
But for the record, we've been trying to do this episode for a month and a half. We have carted these beers all over the state of Ohio, saying that we're going to record episodes, and then it doesn't happen because children or sleep or something wins out, and the podcast has not happened. But we are nothing if not persistent.
We are dedicated to the craft. You see what I did there?
Oh, snap. And we are going to make Oktoberfest beers happen.
So that is what we are talking about. This is just a bonus episode. We have 6 Ohio beers.
Yes.
2 of them are from outside of Cincinnati. So we have most of Ohio represented. First, again, late, but what is Oktoberfest?
Well, it was a celebration for King Ludwig's wedding
in Bavaria.
In Bavaria. And then it just kind of turned into a massive party that turned into a party every year.
Yeah, so it's a huge party in Munich, Germany. It's hosted mid-September through the first weekend of October.
Mm-hmm. And last year, Cincinnati held the title as the world's largest Oktoberfest because there was not an Oktoberfest in Munich. So for 1 year, Munich handed the title over to Cincinnati and then quickly snatched it back this year.
Yeah, so Munich is, of course, in Bavaria, which is the southern region of Germany. And their Oktoberfest, they hosted in, I think it's the Fields of Teresa. I think that sounds right.
Yes. Devisen, after the colloquial name for the fairgrounds, Theresienwiese. Yes, Theresienwiese.
Yeah. And they have these huge tents.
That aren't much like tents as much as they are temporary structures.
Yeah, they are temporary structures. They set them up starting in July, which is why they canceled last year because Oktoberfest is an operation.
And they did not get the operation started soon enough.
Yeah. And because of COVID, everything was up in the air. You can't just start. It's not a church festival.
No.
So I when I visited Munich in 2013, we saw them starting to build the tents. The tents weren't built, but they were starting that process.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in mid-July 2013. And it's a 2-week celebration. The rules are that you're only allowed to have Munich brewed beer. So only the breweries inside of the city of Munich are allowed to have beer at Oktoberfest.
But there are a lot of delicious beers brewed in Munich.
Yeah, it's not 60 like here in Cincinnati. It's probably single digits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact number, but I don't think it's a large number. But yeah, all of the beer is fantastic. It's exactly what I mean, they came up with the style. It's their style, so it's everything that we have here and more because it's in Germany. And of course, everyone does wear the traditional garbs, and of course, there are the pretzels and the desserts. And Cincinnati is a very German town. We've covered this before. If you're a longtime listener, we did an entire episode about Prohibition and pre-Prohibition and the after effects of Prohibition. So it was a 4-part series, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 4 episodes dedicated to craft beer and the rise and fall of beer in Cincinnati, based on a book by Michael D. Morgan that you, Caroline, read.
Yes.
So Cincinnati is a beer town. It is a German beer town in particular. So everyone brews an Oktoberfest, just like everyone brews a Bock beer. which is also German.
So yummy.
It's not just Cincinnati that brews Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is this universally known beer style that, it's seasonal and everyone tends to like it. At least in Ohio, Oktoberfest is a pretty well-known seasonal beer. So that is why we have representation from all across Ohio, or at least the 3 Cs, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati.
I mean, Cincinnati is the only one of those 3 Cs that matter. But I guess we will include the other 2.
Hey everyone, Joe Ludwig here with the one and only Caroline.
Hey!
Before we get to the main topic of today's episode, we wanted to pause briefly and tell you about how you can support the show.
So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and reading our blog posts every week, then you now have the opportunity to support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. Here's what you need to know. It's super easy to do. You don't have to set up an account to contribute. You have options. Send us a one-time donation or sign up as a member to contribute on a monthly or yearly basis. Plus, you can unlock exclusive content.
To learn more about how you can support the Craft Parenting Podcast through Buy Me a Coffee, click the link in the show notes. And now, back to the show. All right, so let's dive into this first beer that we are drinking. We are splitting these beers.
We will see how many we get through. I need to catch up.
And we are drinking these from it's a very traditional looking glass. Although it's not a liter, but it's kind of the same style as that traditional German liter mug. It is the Brewhog TQL Beer Series glass from this year.
We made it through all 3 races this year. Don't know how, but we did it.
Yeah, with the kids, some of them.
Yeah, fortunately we didn't bring the kids to Bachfest 5K, but we did bring the kids to the Little King's Mile, which was crazy, and the Huda Pole 7/14K, which was also crazy.
Well, just getting to the start line of the Little King's Mile, which it's not called that. It's called the 50 West.
Oh, sorry, it's the 50 West Mile.
Yeah, so just getting to the start line, which they moved, was complicated.
Yeah, well, because they had... Fortunately, I knew to take a different way.
Yeah, we split up for some reason.
So you picked up the packets while I started walking with the kids to the start line.
Potty. You went potty with Lily, didn't you?
No, not for the Little King. Not for the 50 West Mile, because she wasn't potty trained yet.
I got the packets.
You got the packets. Oh, that's right. I parked the car, and then I had to walk to the start line, which was basically me walking the race in reverse, because I didn't know of any way to get from the Red Stadium.
Or Paul Brown.
No, it was the Red Stadium because I parked underneath the Red Stadium. The Red Stadium to the end of the tunnel under the highway by Paul Brown Stadium to avoid steps without just walking the race backwards. So I essentially walked the race before I walked the race. And then I had to find you.
That was okay. I mean, it was...
But that was easy because all I do is yucks and then you find me.
It was just annoying that, there wasn't an easy way to get to the start line, with a stroller.
Yeah, like you had said that there were people that were having to carry their strollers downstairs because they were just following the crowds going to the start line, not knowing that there were just a bunch of stairs between them and the start line with the way that the crowds had gone. And so I was very grateful with my double stroller that while it was annoying that I had basically done the race twice.
We had a lot of stuff too, so it's not
I did not have to worry about trying to get a double stroller down a bunch of stairs.
It's not like we could have collapsed it and ran it down.
No, because the kids were not as cooperative back then.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There was blankets, there was goldfish, there were...
For that race, there was more food because it was warmer outside.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And you can't just collapse the stroller when there's all that stuff in it.
No, you cannot.
You would have had to take the kids out and all the stuff out.
Most of the stuff was on my back or on the kids. The main thing would have been getting the double stroller down all those stairs. The thing that I said 4 times.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
To the beer.
I don't know why you're focusing on this so much.
So the beer we are drinking. Beer number 1 is from Westside Brewing.
West Side, West Side.
Thank you, Caroline.
Always happy to help.
It is a Marzen style lager. It's an Oktoberfest Marzen style lager. ABV is 5.2% and IBUs are 22. Description: this amber lager is made from German malts, German hops, and a German lager yeast for a truly authentic Oktoberfest beer. Clean toasted bread malts with just a touch of hop spice give way to a clean, smooth finish for a fest beer you'll want to drink by the liter.
The description fits.
Yeah, but it's kind of confusing. Is it a fest beer or a Marzen lager? I'm assuming it's a Marzen because they have a fest beer.
Yeah, because I think the fest beer is the 16-ounce can, because that's the one that I had to help pour for a topic for later. It's nice and clean. I'm a fan.
Bready, malty, very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely drinkable by the liter. Very refreshing as well, which is everything that I want in an Oktoberfest. A lot of these beers are going to be similar, so...
See, we say that, and then they're all completely different.
Yeah.
Only because we're drinking them back to back to back. So you can pick up on all those subtle differences a little bit better.
All right, I'm going to get the second beer ready, and you can talk about the adventure that you went on recently.
3 days later.
All right.
I think converse is the word I'm supposed to use.
So you went on an adventure to Fretboard Brewing.
I did. And I got all dolled up for it, too. So for the last few years, the Gnome has done this thing called the Oktoberfest Quest.
That is the gnarly gnome, the host of the Cincinnati Brewcast.
Yes. So he gets as
Best
many.
to drink.
This one's way different. It's way hoppy. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay. Well, continue the story and then we'll talk about the beer.
So the gnarly gnome gets as many packaged Oktoberfest beers as he can from the city of Cincinnati. Well, the breweries that he considers as part of the greater Cincinnati breweries, which I think is like 40-mile radius from downtown. Some people say the 275 loop. It's widely contested. He has his rule. You can have your own rule, whatever. So he got as many packaged Oktoberfest beers from Cincinnati breweries as possible. If the breweries put a can on the shelf, the odds of him having it were very, very high. But he also had some people that brought him crowlers.
And a homebrew.
And he also opened it up to homebrews this year. So if you had a homebrew that you wanted to submit, you could do that. The rule was you had to give him at least 3, I think. So if it made it through to the end of the competition, he had enough beers to share. Because he does a few at a time, and round 1 takes forever because there's a ton of beers. So right now we are drinking a beer that was not in his quest for the best Oktoberfest because it is Wolfsfridge Brewing, which is based in Columbus. So this is Wolfsfridge Brewing's Oktoberfest. It is a Marzen lager, 5.4% ABV, 20 IBUs, and their description is, steeped in tradition and consumed in celebration, Oktoberfest is the perfect lager to herald the onset of autumn. Toasted bread on the nose leads to a slightly sweet malty flavor with just a hint of noble hops. Crisp and highly quaffable, brewed to be drunk by the Stein. Enjoy this brewer's favorite seasonal beer. I don't know if I would enjoy this one by the Stein as much as I would enjoy the West Side one by the Stein. I probably would enjoy this more of like the hotter Oktoberfest season than the cooler Oktoberfest season. Because in Cincinnati, Oktoberfest season is the last week in August to the first week in October.
Yeah.
And the last weekend in August is so hot. So hot. And then the last weekend in October is a toss-up.
I can take the heat. It's the humidity that gets me. That's what makes everything sticky and gross.
It is one of the few events that we dance at that we are allowed to not wear tights. And it makes such a big difference. I'm getting a little bit of bready, but not like a ton. I'm getting more hops.
And like we said, these are kind of old. I mean, we purchased them in September, late August, mid-August.
Yeah. As stated previously, we've been trying to do this show for a while.
But I do get a lot of hops that I typically don't get in Oktoberfest.
Mm-hmm.
Like the traditional German Munich brewery October, like a Paulaner or a Lowenbrau or a Hofbrauhaus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they don't have hops, they do, but just that the traditional styles from Germany are typically bread malt forward, not hop forward.
Correct.
And this seems like it is hop forward
I would not disagree with that.
versus, and then some breadiness at the back end.
Yeah. So it's not exactly what I'd be looking for in Oktoberfest. But I mean, I drink it. It's better than Bud Light. So back to the gnome and his question.
Oh, wait a second. I wanna take a step back from what you said because it's better than Bud Light. There has to be a higher bar than that. We have to give it a little more credit than that.
I was just thinking of beers that we have at our Oktoberfest that I don't drink, and Bud Light was the first one that came to mind.
Because it sounds like we're pooping on this, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. It is a good Oktoberfest for sure. It is just completely left field different than what we just drank.
Okay, how about this? It's better than Warsteiner.
I mean, we drank King Ludwig.
König Ludwig is the best. It's a Weissbier. And the only time I can get it is at our Oktoberfest. Sometimes I can get it at
Schützenfest.
Yeah, at Schützenfest in Kolping.
Yeah, we never used to have
but
König Ludwig.
I don't go to Schützenfest anymore.
I don't even know when Schützenfest is because they changed it.
It's either in June or July.
I think it's like Father's Day. It's the same weekend as Schwabenfest, isn't it?
I have no idea. It used to be the same week as my Girl Scout camp because I know I used to go on. I think it at least used to be in July because Girl Scout camp used to be in July.
It was in July for like 200 years or something.
And then they moved it. I don't know. I am not a member of Kolping. I am a member of the Cincinnati Donauschwaben.
So yeah, I don't want to make it seem like this beer is bad. It's not bad. It's just different. Yeah. Okay.
It is different. You were the one that said like all these beers are going to taste the same, and then we just hit like two big swings of the spectrum with the first two beers. Wow. I would like the record to show that.
Okay. Unless I cut that out.
It will still be my truth.
So back to the Gnarly Gnome's quest.
So over the last like month and a half, the gnome has been drinking a lot of Oktoberfest beers through a lot of different mediums. So he'll use his podcast. He'll use the weekly pint episodes on Facebook and YouTube. He'll make like Instagram reels. He'll change up how he releases it, but he will put two beers head to head and choose in that moment which one of the two beers is the one that he thinks is the quote better Oktoberfest. But part of it is also what kind of qualifiers are you putting on it? So are you saying like, I'm sitting in a beer garden when it's 60 degrees outside and there's a German band playing and I'm eating a bratwurst with schnitzel with sauerkraut. Like, what are my qualifiers that are the reason why I'm choosing this beer? Because everybody has a favorite beer, but it's what are the qualifiers that make it that's my favorite beer? Because it's like my favorite beer right now. But when the weather changes 20 degrees and it's sunny and warm outside, this will no longer be my favorite beer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So on Monday, October 10th, that all came to a head because he had his top 4 beers that he tried live at Fretboard Brewing with Julia and Marco from Truth Beer and Consequences joining him on the stage. But while they had their opinion and they were allowed to voice their opinion, the gnome was the true decider.
Well, didn't they get to eliminate 2?
So they did 2 head-to-heads. So they had beers A, B, C, and D. And they chose, Marco and Julia chose what 2 beers to start with, which then left the 2 beers to end with. So they weren't necessarily putting like A and B against each other. They like drank A and D and then they drank B and C. And like Julia had one that she liked and Marco had one that he liked and Gnome ended up going with Marco. But then for the next one, like went the same way as Marco. And I think like the next one, like he went more towards Julia. But like it was his decision ultimately. I actually think one of them like maybe I have to listen to the episode because I haven't listened to the episode since I was there yet. So they ultimately like figured out like between the 4, which were the 2 that were going to go head to head. And then once we were able to refill their glasses a little bit more, so they had more beer to choose from, they picked the best Oktoberfest. But I was the only one that was dressed for the occasion because everyone else was lame. Because it's a quest for the best Oktoberfest. So you should be dressed like you're going to Oktoberfest.
I know, right?
One would think. So
at least bring a hat. Bring a hat.
Yeah, at least bring a hat. So I show up in a dirndl skirt, a vest, with my Donauschwaben name tag still on it because I didn't take it off.
They were very impressed by this name tag.
They were. And my hat, which was the first time I had worn my hat this year because I kept forgetting to grab it before we left the house. So like you had worn your hat out at Oktoberfest, but I had not worn mine. So I show up and I'm the only one in German garb. I expected the gnome to be in like lederhosen or have his hat with him or something. And no, it's just me dressed for the occasion. But they were impressed with my name tag and my hat. And I helped Julia's Josh pour the beers. So no one on the stage knew what beer was what. Though they all knew which one was the West Side Fest beer. Because it was much lighter than the rest of them.
Yeah, you can't hide that.
Nope.
When everything else is on Martzen, it's supposed to be, ruby red.
Yeah, even with
copper.
the crazy stage lighting, because you couldn't really tell the difference between beers A, C, and D, because the crazy stage lighting made it hard to distinguish the colors. So ultimately it was, and Josh and myself were the only ones that knew this until we knew it. It was West Side's Fest beer against Mad Tree's beer.
So who were the four? It was Mad Tree,
It's Mad Tree, West Side
Fest beer.
Yeah, West Side's Fest beer, Brinktoberfest, and Saunders Oktoberfest.
So Brinktoberfest in packaging,
Which is brewed differently than the stuff at their brewery.
It's the same recipe.
Same recipe, but it's contract brewed.
Correct. So, it's not the same people that are brewing it, which...
It's still a good beer, though.
Regardless, right? But, I can make a pot of coffee, and you can make a pot of coffee, and it'll be different.
Mine will be better. Even though I
like
make it
traditional with a filter coffee.
Mine will still be better.
Get out of here. No, because my tastes are different than your tastes, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might add more water. You might add more beans.
What? How did it do that?
Party foul.
Like, I poured the can, and what it did it again? It, came out sideways. I made sure the mouth of the can was facing down, and then the beer, poured out sideways. Like I had the can super twisted. I don't understand. I am so confused.
I would like to point out that on this podcast, I have been criticized for my pouring ability.
I don't understand. So the beer that I'm currently frustrated with, by no fault of the brewery, is Rheingeist's Franz, their Oktoberfest beer. It is also 5.4% ABV, and their description is, Franz is our Oktoberfest brow, not traditional, but uber German. He's an autumnal brew, a bit of a dreamer, often hiking in the Alps to return brimming with great ideas. Like those brisk hikes in the steep mountains, these Munich and Vienna malts will pump you up. Prost.
Yeah, Prost. And I guess that reference is SNL skit, Hans and Franz.
It's been a hot second since I've seen that. We're going to have to watch it again.
We will pump you up. Is it Will Ferrell? And I don't know. We're going to look it up.
3 days later.
Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon.
I was wrong.
You got that way wrong. That is a very young Dana Carvey. He looks like a baby.
That's Garth, right?
Yes.
I love the 90s SNL. Like late 80s, early 90s. Like that's when it was good.
3 days later.
We can't watch this. We're recording. I can't even include it because copyright.
Shift Beers includes a lot of stuff that they probably shouldn't in their podcasts.
Like music? Because do they have an agreement with Spotify?
No. Sonder Stories is the one that that uses Spotify, I think.
It's not Spotify. It's Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. You can use Spotify music, but only if you listen it. It only includes the music if you listen through Spotify, I think.
I don't know.
What are we drinking? Oh, we already said.
We already said what we're drinking. That's why we got distracted by the SNL skit.
Okay, so all right. So this is Rheingeist Cincy made Franz. It's an Oktoberfest beer. It is 5.4% ABV. It is. Did you already read it?
Yeah.
You already read it. Okay. This is very similar to the West Side.
It is. It's really smooth, and they do have a Hans. So Rheingeist has a Hans beer, and it's a Vienna lager. So they do have Hans und Franz.
Oh, nice.
I had to check because I figured if they said that they had one, that they probably had the other. They introduced it in 2017. So it's been around for a long while.
It doesn't say anything about Hans.
No, but you picked up on the SNL skit stuff. So I had to see if there was a Hans to match the Franz. And there is.
Well, yeah. So I picked it up because it says we will pump you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from the SNL skit.
Yeah. So it's a nice, crisp. This is definitely like a hot midday Oktoberfest beer. Be nice and refreshing.
Honestly, I would drink a lot of this.
I would drink a lot of this as well. Especially at like a early September Oktoberfest where it is so hot outside.
I don't know that the temperature would make any difference in this because it's late October.
This is true. This is probably a good like all Oktoberfest long beer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think this is done really well. I don't know if they changed the recipe over the years, but I think Rheingeist was a contender in previous Gnarly Gnome
I believe so.
competitions. It made it up to I don't know if it was the winner necessarily, but I think it
made it close.
Yeah, for sure. The winner of that competition was Mad Tree.
Yep.
I don't know if we said that.
No, we were going to get there. So it came down to 2 beers, and the ultimate winner was, as determined by the Gnarly Gnome, and only the Gnarly Gnome, was Mad Tree Brewing. And so they won the first ever Golden Gnomie, because this year he had a statue that or a trophy he could hand out.
Did he hand do that by himself?
No, he ordered it online. I don't know what that entailed. I didn't get to ask him details about it, but he actually had a Golden Gnomie that he handed out.
He was live streaming in his garage, and he alluded to like wood chips or something.
It like came in pieces, and he had to put it together.
Oh, is that?
But it wasn't anything super intense.
Is that why he had sawdust in his garage?
Probably not, but he can use that as his excuse. I will allow it.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a hobby of his, lumberjack.
I don't know.
Woodworker.
Yeah, so then afterwards, Julia, Marco, and the gnome talked about Oktoberfest and Oktoberfest beers and what they look for in Oktoberfest beers. And so I talked to Julia's Josh, and we drank the rest of the Oktoberfest beers while they were talking. Had a great time at Fretboard.
And you hung out with one of the owners, right? Or was he there?
Yeah, I talked to Jim, one of the owners at Fretboard, for a while. Got some delicious food. I got their barbecue fries, which were really yummy, and drank a lot of beer.
Not too much beer.
No, but it was all good. The early days of the Oktoberfest Quest, when he was doing it on the Weekly Pint one time, someone asked him if the beers would be better with Jaeger in them. And so, like a very not smart person, the gnome got his bottle of Jaeger.
I can't believe he had Jaeger on hand.
And poured a little bit of Jaeger in with the beer. And it did not make it better. And the whole time I was like, no, don't do it. That is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I can't even imagine mixing Jaeger.
No. Though, fun fact that I learned about one of my coworkers, when he goes on vacation with his brother, they get a bottle of Bailey's to use as coffee creamer. And halfway through their vacation, they run out of Bailey's, so they have to go buy more. And he's like, my brother hasn't figured out that we have to buy 2 bottles before we leave because it's super expensive when we're at our vacation spot. And I was like, well, maybe generalizing here for a second. Guys don't always think about that. Oh, I ran out halfway through my vacation last year, so I should probably buy 2 bottles this year. Generalizing statement. This is a very generalizing statement. You do not fall under that generalizing statement.
Well, maybe this year he wants to cut back and it just didn't work out.
No, he said that his brother will wake up like Wednesday morning and go to make himself some coffee and then be real mad.
Bailey's has liquor in it, right?
Yes, Bailey's is a creme liqueur. So it's like Gatorita's, but super early in the morning. I am not here for, well, depends on the day.
I don't know. We went to San Francisco for our honeymoon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we got those.
And we did the tourist thing. You're supposed to go to
Some bar and get an Irish coffee.
it's like a cafe bar,
Mhm.
and everyone goes. They like invented it
Yeah,
in America. They brought it to America, supposedly.
something.
But it's very, very famous. I don't remember what it's called. So famous, I don't remember what it is.
It's been a hot second. Let me see if I search Irish coffee. San Francisco. Is it the Buena Vista? Yeah, it's the Buena Vista in San Francisco.
Yeah, so people go there and they just order Irish coffees,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, which is coffee with a bit of Bailey's.
And this bartender, that's all they do. And they kind of have an art to it. It's kind of like Benihana's.
Because they'll make it in front of you if you sit at the bar.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's very showy,
Mhm.
artsy, There's no volcano, though.
The Onion Volcano is the best. I really want to go back. I need hibachi. I need hibachi in my life. Where do I need to go for hibachi that is closer than Benihana's?
Korean. But they didn't do that in front of us. The Japanese place.
That place was pretty good. They put mushrooms and stuff that I did not expect them to put mushrooms in, though, and that was a problem.
Yeah,
It all worked out in the end, but that was a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm finishing up my Franz. You already finished up yours. It's yummy. Cracking open beer number 4.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
So I had a good time hanging out at Fretboard, even though I was the only one in German garb. And Marco told me that I looked like a hotel receptionist. Apparently I looked like I worked at a hotel.
Thanks, Marco.
If you only looked at the vest and the name tag and ignored the fact that I was in a very Bavarian shirt and skirt and hat. So if you took 3/4 of my outfit out of the equation, or I worked at a very themed hotel, I don't know.
Apparently we should start a hotel.
No, thank you. The next beer that we're cracking open is Brinktoberfest, which is the traditional Marzen-style lager. And it is 5.7% ABV. Brinktoberfest is a very good Oktoberfest, and I haven't had a sip of it yet. But we've drank a lot of it this year.
That's good.
Oh, that is very bready and very malty.
That aftertaste, it's just very smooth.
There is like 0 hops. This is another contender for will drink all Oktoberfest season. Rain or shine or snow. Yes, I have been at Oktoberfest celebrations where it snowed. I have photos of me like in a scarf and a hat at Oktoberfest because it's snowing. It's like snow flurries,
Yeah, there's no accumulation.
but there was snow.
Is this at Dennis Robin?
Yes.
I don't remember.
It's very early days.
I don't remember it snowing. I remember it raining
Oh, it like rains every other year.
and it being cold.
This year was our 30th anniversary. We were working the merchandise booth again, and we had 30th anniversary pins, and we sold out like not even halfway through Saturday. And we just eventually made a sign that said, "We don't have hat pins for 2022. Stop asking." But I still had hat pins for our 25th anniversary, and we order the same amount of pins every year. And the only explanation that I could come up with was that 2017, it rained all 3 days. Because there was an Oktoberfest where it rained all 3 days, and it must have been 2017. Because how else would I still have pins? I sold some of the wackiest stuff this year. So many magnets, and I had like never sold a magnet before.
I know. And the hot pads.
Yeah, and the little...
hot plates.
Yeah, like there's little like decorative ceramic hot plates that are like Oma's house rules and Opa's house rules. And like kissing don't last, but cooking do. Stuff like that. And like I sold hat pins from like all the years prior. Like I sold a 2018 hat pin with no back. Like, sure, if you want it, I'll sell it to you. I don't understand. But it was a good year for the merchandise booth.
I mean, it was a good year for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, we had people complaining that it was too busy. And I'm like, the weather's great. What do you want me to do about that?
That's the thing. The weather was perfect all 3 days, which never happens.
No, because like I swear the car show. So at the merchandise booth, we sell all the glassware, but a good portion of the glassware is set aside as awards for the car show.
Participation too.
Yeah, so it's like
You get a participation mug, I think, and then the trophy.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how the awards get handed out, but the last few years, it's been very hit or miss on whether or not the car show has happened, because the car show happens in a grass field. And if it even looks like it's going to rain, or if it even has rained any kind of recently, the car show gets called off. Usually we know by Saturday night, but sometimes we don't know until Sunday morning. And then Hansi, the one who coordinates all of Oktoberfest,
Of course his name is Hansi.
Of course his name is Hansi. I think he might have graduated to Hans. I think we missed the graduation from him from Hansi to Hans. He just hands us boxes of glassware and says, "These were all the car show prizes. You need to sell these now." And we're like, "What? Our mug stock just tripled."
This year? Or
previous years.
Previous.
Like whenever they have to cancel the car show. Usually because it rained.
I don't remember that. When did he become Hans?
I feel like maybe it's just mostly his mom that calls him Hans. I talk to his mom a lot.
Because his dad was Hans, I think. So maybe he took that up. But he calls me Joey, so he's Hansi.
Like everybody calls you Joey.
Well.
It's funny whenever I see somebody at the club and they're like, "Oh, I was talking to Joe." And I'm like, "Which Joe?" There are literally 10 Joes, 3 of which I'm related to. Pick one.
There's 2.
Well, now there's 2. There used to be 3.
Yes.
And everybody would be confused when I would say Oppa, Big Joe, or Joey. Which one did you talk to? Because I don't know. I can't read your mind.
That's not 10. Did we talk about this beer? It is Brinktoberfest by Brink Brewing.
Yes, I already did that.
Yeah.
There isn't a description on the can.
It's told ABV 5.7.
Yes.
And if you would notice that we are going up in ABV.
Oh, man. Is this why you're forgetting what I've already done?
Yes. I'm getting distracted, okay?
Here, just put the Lederhosen koozie on your mug and you'll be fine. Or you can sell it to somebody for $20 because everybody wanted to know where we got our koozies and we can't find them anymore.
It's like 5 years old. Possibly more.
It's more than 5 years old, hon. They're at least 7 years old. So one year, and I thought they were the kookiest things ever, Joe's mom got Lederhosen and Dirndl koozie covers for Liedersteins. They're really thick foam. They're holding up really well.
They are.
And so she managed to have them 2 or 3 years in a row. They sold like hotcakes. And I was like, what even is this? And now we can't find them anywhere to buy them. So every year, while we're drinking our beers out of our own personal steins with our own personal koozies on them.
Volunteer organization.
People are like, where can I buy that? And I told 3 different people, I'll sell you this one for $40 because it would be money into my pocket because it would be my koozie. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yes, because I would like to keep mine, please. Thank you very much.
Speaking of Fretboard, shout out to Fretboard because they had an entire truck at the Donauschwaben Oktoberfest.
They did. They were one of the few local breweries that we were able to represent. And I say that we were able to represent because we had 30 different beers on draft. And we probably had 31 or 32 beer taps total. And the majority of those beers were German beers.
I mean, we want to keep it as traditional as possible. So we do go for those traditional beers that you will find in Munich during Oktoberfest. That's typically what we go for.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult because the Donauschwaben Oktoberfest is so late. So it's kind of what is available, what is left. But typically we can get, from the distributors, we can get Planer, Hofbrauhaus, Warsteiner, all the Lowenbrau, all of the traditional, as many as is possible. But fun fact, the Donauschwaben year-round, typically they have a house beer, which is brewed. It was originally brewed by Rivertown, and then Fretboard took it over. It's called the Schwaben Lager.
Yep.
So we have a relationship with Fretboard. So, and people love that beer. So it makes sense that Fretboard was there. And they served, Schwaben Lager plus a couple other varieties as well.
They had 31 different beers on draft, 19 of which were German.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, they try to make it as traditional as possible.
Yeah. So they had Braxton's Bavarian Lager, Fretboard's Hefeweizen, and Fretboard's Oktoberfest. Oh, and Braxton's October Fuel, Fretboard's Reba, and they had Breckenridge Vanilla Porter, and then Fretboard Dunkel. So they had 4 different Fretboard beers plus our Fretboard beer.
Where was Braxton at?
The bottom. Was it the truck by the pavilion? It's probably the truck by the pavilion is where it usually is.
That's Hofbrauhaus, I thought. I don't know.
It's very hard to find all of the beers because you find one that you really like and you're like, I'm going to drink this one. And you're like, wait, there was one that was better.
Yeah, we don't get to, we don't get to drink as much.
No.
Because of the 2 kids. Plus we're working.
Yes, lots and lots of working.
And it was kind of warm-ish.
It was. And I didn't know where the kids were half the time, but they had a blast. So that's really the important thing.
They were with my sister. CPS. Don't at us.
They were with friends or family that we know and trust. I just did not know where they were. But I knew how to get a hold of them if I needed to.
Yeah, so we don't get to, back in the day, we were able to sample and drink multiple varieties.
Well, because we'd also be there like all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Right. And we had no other responsibilities other than ourselves.
Yeah. We'd have somebody else help take care of Zoe just for the weekend.
Zoe, our dog.
Yeah, Zoe the dog. Zoe is not one of our children.
I mean, it's been a while since we talked about the dogs.
They still exist. Clara has severe middle child syndrome. Zoe feels like the forgotten first child now that the new younger children are around.
We let Clara out before dinner, and then she wants to go out 2 other times.
Yeah, she's like, just give me attention.
And then she doesn't let you just let her out. You have to be out there with her.
I'm cold, Dad. You have to be cold with me. I need to find her coat so we can start putting that back on her. Poor pupper. She gets cold. This is so yummy.
This is a good one.
I know.
I like this one.
I need more. Oktoberfest. Get in my fridge.
Well, they're probably out of it now.
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully not because I want more, but also, that's so good.
We have 2 more.
Oh, man.
3 days later.
So what's in my glass?
Well, this is it looks lighter.
It looks much lighter. It almost looks like a Hefeweizen, but it's not it's not as cloudy as a Hefeweizen.
No, it looks like a fest beer, which I think that's what it is. It is the Taft's Oktoberfest German-style lager. 5.7% ABV, and that's it. That's all it says. It doesn't have a description on the can, but I love the artwork. It has a hat on the O. Of course, it has the Old English font.
Mm-hmm. The Old English.
Yep, with the blue and white checkered pattern, with, of course, President Taft in his bathtub drinking a beer.
As one should be.
Yes. I love that they took a former president from Ohio and they just made it into their own brand.
I mean, it works.
Well, he has a hat on. Does he always have a hat?
What? No.
It looks like a German hat.
Yeah, he's wearing, but he doesn't in the regular logo. So that is their just Oktoberfest logo.
Oh, look at that. I noticed.
And he's holding a Stein as opposed to a pint glass.
Well, I noticed that. Obviously, it's like it has little lines coming from it. So I definitely noticed that. That's where you draw your attention to.
Mm-hmm.
But the hat, that's very clever.
Yep.
It is different, though, than the... wow, I just noticed that. How did I just notice that? So it definitely looks lighter. It almost looks like Bud Light lighter, but...
No, Hefeweizen. We're comparing it to a Hefeweizen. It's not as cloudy as a Hefeweizen, but it's pretty close to a Hefeweizen in color.
It's very pale.
Yes.
Versus like copper.
Which the Brinktoberfest was getting pretty coppery. This is a good summer, beginning of Oktoberfest season. I mean, I drink it now too, but I think I'd prefer this in the heat of Oktoberfest.
So like August, early September.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. It's lighter than the Brink.
Yeah, it's a lighter beer, but it's still that 5.7% ABV. That extra 0.3% matters.
Right. Yeah. So it tastes lighter, but the alcohol is way up. And compared to like I said, we're going up in alcohol as far as the 6 varieties go. Maybe we should have gone down in alcohol.
Probably. Some of us have to drive to work in the morning. They can't just roll out of bed.
Well, I do not roll out of bed.
I wasn't saying that you roll out of bed. Saying we can't just roll out of bed and sign into our computer. I wasn't going to get coffee tomorrow, but now I'm probably going to get coffee tomorrow. As long as Lily gets to school on time.
And we went to Taft's Brewporium for my birthday.
We did. Your mom bought us this beer. Thank you, Joe's mom.
She bought it for my birthday.
Yep.
Which was in mid-September.
Hey, we had a lot of fun watching the trains.
Yeah, we go to the
photos taken.
We go to the Brewporium specifically because of the kids, and they have the train tracks. And I didn't think we would see a train, and then it right there, visible. I mean, there's the track, on the far side, which you can't really see, and there's a track right there.
Yeah, because there's a Y split, and a lot of the trains go on the far side of the Y split, so you don't see them necessarily at Taft's. But Elliot finally has the attention span and the vision where he can see the trains even if they are on the far Y of the track. But he just doesn't get as excited about them.
He was super excited for the train
that came right next to us.
We were about to leave too.
We were about to leave. That's when it always happens, is when we're about to leave. But he actually said hi, which he almost never does. He waved like a maniac. He was like a kid in a candy store.
I have a video of it. It's super cute.
It's on our Instagram.
It's on someone's Instagram.
Or it's on your Instagram. I don't know.
Whether it's mine or Craft Parenting.
I just live here. I come out from putting Lily to bed and you're like, let's record a podcast night. I'm like, okay. You did tell me before we put Lily to bed.
So getting back to this beer.
Oktoberfest.
It's very good.
I would drink a bathtub of this. A very clean bathtub.
3 days later.
Anything else you want to say about Taft's? We love the Brewporium.
We love the Brewporium, and I really want to get back downtown again sometime soon because the food at the Brewporium is nice, and I enjoy it.
It's pizza.
It's pizza.
I would say it's probably the best pizza in the city.
I miss me some tri-tip or some steak tips. I would like a nice adult meal where I don't have to worry about what the tiny human next to me is doing.
There's not a whole lot of tiny humans at the Brewporium.
I specifically want a nice meal without our tiny humans.
Ah.
So I don't have to worry about them throwing food or eating all of my food and none of their food.
Yeah, the downtown location is definitely not.
It is you can bring your kids there.
I don't know what the menu's like. I mean, it tends to be more expensive, more higher quality food.
It's some good stuff.
Oh, definitely. But I don't know if it's like taking your kids to Jeff Ruby's.
It's not that nice, but yeah, I would definitely bring my kids to the Brewporium before I brought them to the ale house.
But it's still expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would take my kids to an expensive restaurant. I guess that's my point. My young kids, my 3-year-old and 19-month-old.
Yeah, who decide that grilled cheese is the best thing ever one day and hate it the next. I got this food for you. Why aren't you eating it? Kids are confusing.
Elliot's favorite word now is up.
That's so cute.
So now I have to bench press my 19-month-old.
Hey, this is how you get a workout. Did you not see me doing leg presses with Lily? It works. I need to do more leg presses with Lily, but it works.
And then Lily wants me to bench press her, and I'm like, oh no. You're a lot bigger than your baby brother. For now.
For now, yeah. He's trying to catch up.
I mean, she has, 18 months on him, so.
But I think those 2T clothes are starting to get snug on him. We'll see.
2T or 24 months? There's a difference, right?
There is a difference. And I don't know if he has many 24-month clothes out there. It's mostly 2T. I did go through Lily's closet and I got rid of anything that was over or that was under 3T.
The jammies you put them in are kind of getting...
Those are 24 months. Are those or are those 2T?
They're getting snug is the point. And
Yeah.
his onesie of airplanes and helicopters was on his changing table. And you ignored that.
He wanted to be Baby Yoda.
Did he tell you that?
Yes. I didn't see it on his changing table because he didn't make it to his changing table. I grabbed a diaper and I put him in whatever I could reach first. And that was his jammy drawer.
Little stinker. He peed in his diaper twice. During bedtime. So you mentioned it was bath night tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned previously Elliot doesn't like laying down to get his diaper changed. Or
No, he has started to decide that he is a big boy and does not need diapers, does not need diaper changes. He's just going to run around and do boy things all the time.
This is false.
This is very false. So I made the mistake one day of thinking that, oh, Ellie just got out of the bath. He's fine. I can let him run around his room. I could not let him run around his room. So I ended up cleaning a lot of things off that I shouldn't have needed to clean off.
He watered our carpet, our brand new carpet.
So thanks for that, bub. So I put him in a diaper as soon as I got him in his room.
Today,
which he was not happy about. And then as I was picking jammies out of his drawer because I did not see his airplane jammies, he ran into his sister's room and I noticed, oh, hey, your stripe is already blue. So glad I put you in your diaper.
So when it was time for bed, I had to change him. And then he put up a fight at bedtime, which he usually never does.
He doesn't fight me as much as he fights everybody else.
Today was a little weird, though. He woke up versus us. Like, he woke up at
6:30 this morning. Oh, our power just blipped. That was interesting.
I wonder why.
I don't know. It got very dark very quick. And I was like, oh my goodness. Isn't this like the third time that's happened while we're recording a podcast? Like, not consecutively. But there was that episode where we lost power halfway through and we just stopped the episode.
3 days later.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about Elliot and how he's a little stinker butt when it comes to taking care of his basic hygiene needs.
Well, he just wants to be like his sister.
He does. Like, I don't know if I need to like buy him a little potty and start having him use a little potty, but I do not trust him with a little potty. He will dump that thing on his head every day of the week.
I mean, yeah, that's a terrible idea. Just pop him on the potty. I mean, he doesn't have the attention span for that, though. But so I had to change him when we went upstairs to go to bed. And then he was all whiny. You know, Dad, I don't want to go to bed, sort of thing.
I'm a big boy. I don't need to go to sleep.
So I tried to rock him. He doesn't like to rock.
Nope.
Tried to, standing up with him and rocking him. That was a little bit better. And I felt his diaper and it was wet again. So I had to change him, which is probably why he was upset or whatever.
Probably.
So I changed it. We don't have any overnight diapers.
No. We probably need to go up a size with him.
Yeah, except I just bought size 5.
Well, bud, you'll have to tough it out.
And then he eventually fell asleep, but you had to intervene and sing to him.
Yes, I had to sing him to sleep. Well, I sang him to calm and then laid him in bed. And then he started to sit up. And I was just like, here's a blanket on top of you. Bye. And then he went quiet. So it was fine.
I don't know why we're talking about Elliot, but there we are.
Oktoberfest. So delicious. I finished mine. You still haven't finished yours. We have a whole other beer to drink. Okay, 2 and our 3 C's of the night. I won't pour this one because apparently it goes sideways when I do that today. We are drinking Great Lakes Brewing Oktoberfest, which is a Marzen-style lager.
That it is.
Oktoberfest, toasty and smooth. Prost! Our take on this classic German style is a real malty party, packed with toasty autumnal flavors, perfect for hearty hoisting. It is 6.5% ABV, making it the biggest beer of the night.
And I would say this is, like, as far as American craft beer, Great Lakes is the golden standard for me.
Is there a reason for that, or just...
Well, first and best dressed. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, we just had a bunch of local Oktoberfest beers, and they were all fantastic. Yeah. But Great Lakes is first and best dressed for me. Therefore, it is, in my mind, that is the introduction to craft beer, and specifically craft beer Oktoberfest. I specifically remember one year that we were dancing at downtown Oktoberfest because we used to dance and at the Donauschwaben.
So Donauschwaben still dances at downtown Oktoberfest.
Yes.
We personally do not.
Correct. We don't even go to Oktoberfest.
I went this year and I had a time. Would I do it again? No. But I did it.
And this was when it was on 5th Street, not 3rd Street and
Correct.
2nd Street. And personally, there was more shade.
There was way more shade when it was on 5th Street.
Because of the buildings.
2nd and 3rd Street gets so hot during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Because there is no shade.
In 20 years, maybe there'll be shade because, they planted trees or whatever.
Yeah.
So we have to wait for those trees to grow.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have thought of that, 20 years ago.
Maybe.
Civil engineers. I'm assuming those are civil engineers. Urban planners.
I mean, I don't know when or who made the decision. I don't know who made the decision to move Oktoberfest. In the grand scheme of things, I think it's easier to close down 2nd and 3rd Streets than it is to close down 5th Street. You have more access to parking. It takes up more area, but it's so hot. There's not a lot of German stuff down there anymore.
Well, that's a critique of Cincinnati Oktoberfest in general.
Yeah, because I saw my favorite Thai restaurant there, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, do you guys have a new location yet?" Because their old location had to close down. And she said, "Yes, we're opening in November in this place." And I was like, "Sweet, I will find a way to be there." But I was like, I should not be seeing a Thai restaurant at Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
It
Chinese.
was weird.
You can get Chinese food. You can get Thai food.
It took us forever to find a cream puff because all my friend wanted was a cream puff.
She should have gone to Donauschwaben.
I know. It's like, hey, next weekend, free beer and all of the cream puffs you can imagine.
Yeah, but Great Lakes for me is first and best dressed.
It's a good one.
Closely followed by Sam Adams, obviously.
I wouldn't say obviously, but I don't think this is my favorite one of the night. But I also can't pinpoint which one is my favorite. Probably Brink, maybe Franz. It's hard when we're drinking them all individually, and I can't be like, let me save a sip of each one to make sure that I remember which one I liked the most.
Oh, that's good.
But I mean, it's still good. It's just this would not be my number one pick.
Well, it's a nostalgia thing, 2012, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many options.
It used to be really hard to find, too.
And you'll get it in a bottle. This, by the way, is in a can.
Well, all of the beers we're drinking are in cans today.
Yes.
But they all have some kind of Bavarian check on them, which is hilarious. I think
what fridges doesn't?
they have a single white diamond, which is their logo. NVM, but they're from Columbus, so they don't count. I mean, there's a Donauschwaben in Mansfield, so that's close enough. But Cleveland actually has a Donauschwaben.
In Akron.
But as far as beers that we actually have right here.
I don't think I've ever had Great Lakes in a can before. I've always had it in a bottle. That's a little different this year. It's not that I don't think I think the best deal price-wise and quantity-wise was in a can versus the bottles. I think they still do the bottles, but as far as the best deal goes, I think it was a 12-pack maybe, or a 16-pack. I don't remember. I think it was a 12-pack. So what was the best deal versus the 6-pack or whatever? And I really like Great Lakes. Great Lakes Oktoberfest, Great Lakes Christmas. Those are the two beers that, I guess, gateway beers.
Yeah,
you would call them.
I'm just surprised that they actually call this Oktoberfest. That's very easily identifiable instead of something weird. Because I feel like one of the beers that you like of theirs is Elliot Ness, or it's not. And because like they name beers after ships that have sunk in the lake.
Oh, Christmas Ale is just Christmas Ale.
Okay, they've got two beers that are actually named what they are.
So the seasonal stuff is, is normal, but their flagships are, they have funny names.
So you have to remember what the funny names mean. And I mean, I guess all breweries have funny names for their beers, but Great Lakes is what always throws me for a loop.
Ness, or is it Dortmunder?
Dortmunder's another one, because I remember that one. And they have like the Edmund Fitzgerald, because that was a pretty famous crash. I'm like 75% sure on that. I'm drinking a 6.5% beer now, and I am 2.5 beers deep.
Yes. So Elliot Ness is another Great Lakes beer, and it is just a amber lager.
Ah, okay.
You can compare it to like a Yingling, but it's like my favorite amber lager. So it's in the same category as like a Yingling.
I'm gonna hate myself for saying this, but we probably need to go to Cleveland.
I would be open to that. Yeah. Great Lakes, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's like a 2-day trip. You went to Cleveland not too long ago.
Technically, it was Canton. Thought it was going to be Cleveland. And then I read the map wrong.
Yeah.
Had a good time there.
But I was going to say, this wasn't... My memory of Great Lakes was... I think it was 2014, September 2014, where we were dancing and all I wanted was a beer. So I waited in line at downtown Oktoberfest. The lines are huge. Are you on Reddit?
Yes, I am listening to your downtown Oktoberfest lines were huge story.
Lines were so huge. It was very frustrating.
They're still very huge. It's still very frustrating.
Yes. And I'm like, I just want a Great Lakes Oktoberfest. So I get up to the, it's my turn. And they say, what would you like? And I hand them my Donauschwaben mug and I say, I would like a Great Lakes Oktoberfest. And they hand me and they pour me. I watched them do it. They poured me an IPA.
I remember this so vividly.
And I'm like, and then they charged me like $20 or whatever. And I'm like, you assholes. I waited in line so long and I just wanted a Great Lakes. And I'm drinking this hoppy tree bark that is not an Oktoberfest. If I had whatever it was from Great Lakes, it was a Great Lakes beer, but it was definitely not an Oktoberfest.
Correct. Which, like, when you get to the bigger festivals, you kind of have to live with the fact that what you order might not always be what you actually get.
Right. What am I going to do? Am I going to pour it out?
Yeah, or they're just going to tell you live with it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know this beer because it's all volunteers.
Yeah.
Or people that are just there for a few hours that don't know the beer as well as someone else would.
I think I did pour some of it out.
I think you did too.
So I'm like, okay, we're dancing at the fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fountain is like owned by Sam Adams. You know, there's the Sam Adams beer garden or whatever. So I'm like, okay, Sam Adams is my second favorite. I will go to Sam Adams. So I wait in line, and I think you were trying to convince me to go get another beer because I'm like, I'm done with Oktoberfest. I hate this.
This was probably me trying to distract you for your surprise party.
It was. Yes, that's where I'm going with this. So I was turning 25 that year.
You were an old sock.
Yes. And Caroline, we just bought a house, you know, a couple months before.
Not even a couple months. It was like weeks before.
Okay, fine.
Because it was mid-September and we bought the house at the end of July. Like the end of July.
Okay, fine. It was weeks before. And you were trying to throw me a surprise party.
Oh, I threw you a surprise party. You were surprised.
I was surprised. But the challenge was, and we talked about this before, but the challenge was all of the people who were invited to the surprise party were at Donauschwaben.
Like half of the people for the surprise party were at Downtown Oktoberfest. Because they were also dancing at Downtown Oktoberfest with us.
So you had to distract me. And I was so angry at the Great Lakes booth. I'm like, I just wanted a Great Lakes beer. Like, because that's what I drink at Oktoberfest. Like
at Downtown Oktoberfest.
And I my favorite type of beer is draft. Like, that is the golden standard for me. It goes draft.
Kegs are usually treated very well.
It goes draft, bottle, can.
You should reverse cans and bottles, but you do you, boo.
No, I love bottles. I don't know why. That's what I go for typically.
Probably because they're a bit bigger in your hands. Because your hands are so big.
I don't ever drink from the bottle. I always pour it out into a glass. But I was so frustrated that I paid like $20 or whatever it was for a liter of Great Lakes tree bark bitterness. And we danced. It was fine. I just wanted to go home. I'm like, I want to leave. This is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So you convinced me to get another beer. So I had to wait in line, in the long line, and I got a Sam Adams beer. And then you distracted me. And I drank the beer, and then I guess I drank it fast.
You drank it too fast because you were so mad. So I ran in one direction, and I convinced you that we needed to pick up we could look for Great Lakes Oktoberfest at Meijer.
So I went to Meijer, which was on the way home.
And I ran in one direction, and your sister ran in another direction, and you were so pissed at us.
Yeah, I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home.
But you weren't allowed to go home.
Yes. And then you surprised me with a party.
So surprised.
I wasn't driving, I don't think.
No, I was driving.
Yeah.
But you were so surprised. Which is, I think, how we ended up at Meijer. Because I was like, I'm going to drive us to Meijer. And then I told your sister, I'm going to run this way. You run that way. Don't let him catch you. That was so much fun. This is good beer. I've almost finished mine.
But yeah, during like 2012, 2013, 14, early days of me being 21 and getting into local beer in particular, to me, Great Lakes was available. I mean, you had to search for it, kind of, but it was generally available during that time frame, and for a limited time.
For a limited time only.
Yes. None of the seasonal creep crap, which does exist. It was available, and that's what I gravitated towards. Because to me, it was the golden standard. Obviously, I did drink the German stuff. You know, when I was a volunteer at Donauschwaben, that's what I gravitated towards. The local stuff at Donut Schwaben Oktoberfest is relatively new with their Schwaben Lager.
Which is also very good. But I didn't have any of that this year. At least not lately.
I had 1 pint.
I'm sure we will have many pints at your brother's rehearsal dinner.
Is there anything else you want to say about Oktoberfest? About Oktoberfest beer?
It's so much fun now that we can enjoy it with the kids. But now Lily expects games at all Oktoberfests.
It's really funny.
We crashed downtown Chillicothe's Oktoberfest, which was so tiny. There was maybe 2 beer spots, and it was the jockey coolers. So, but they had like a nice tent with tables. They had a great band.
It was like a block long.
It was half a city block. It wasn't even a full city block. And we're like, oh, Lily, yeah, we're going to go to Oktoberfest. She's like, oh, I get to play games. And I'm like, well, honey, I'm not sure there's going to be games at this one because there's not going to be a Kinderplatz. But she had a blast dancing around the street, made some new friends. What's your friend's name? I don't know. Hey, friend, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, this is Lily. Go have fun. I don't know where your parents are, but go have fun. But yeah, she had so much fun at our Oktoberfest. Elliot did too. And now they just want to dance and dance and dance.
He gets really excited when he starts to dance. He stomps his feet and screams.
Yep, and he spins
and
because Lily spins. And next year, Lily gets to dance. She gets her purple dress. Yep, Oktoberfest is one of the best fests. And now it is time for us to go take a nap and get ready for
Christmas ale season.
Yeah. Maybe we'll drink 12 beers with Brian and Graham again.
Oh, boy. Stay tuned for that episode.
Thanks so much for listening. You can find us on all social medias at Craft Parenting Podcast. You can email us. You can visit our website. We have a Buy Me a Coffee. We drank a lot of Oktoberfest beers tonight between 2 people. We should drink more next year. I don't know. We'll see. He's at Craft Parenting Joe on Instagram, and I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram. And thank you guys for listening. So we will see you next time, which will be on Thursday, because this is a bonus episode. Peace.